All right, so this was another game I played on the 20th of January. I was in seat two as a liberal. This is a liberal win. So now we're going to discuss how this game went down and why liberals won it. So this was a pretty interesting game. I wind up being useless in it, so it's not really my win. Me winning it isn't really down to me doing anything specific as liberal. 1-5 plays a blue. I get ecstatic in the video. I'm glad to get a blue. 6 decides to play it. I think, as an aside, if you're in seat 6 and you're planning on conflicting on Envy, you might as well conflict into 6. You know, I don't think that that's, especially when you're playing against. I'm gonna say this outright. Like, I personally am find myself in conflict more often than I think most people, and I also conflict people more often than most people would, and for that's because I believe in having a proper deck state for fascist is so positive for the fascist team that I'm willing to conflict on red, 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 for instance. I mean, I vary my game just like anybody else does, but that's one sort of weakness I guess you could exploit if you're a fascist in a game with me, specifically. Anyway, if Buncha decides to go 3. Now, the reason behind this pick is pretty straightforward. We can see now in hindsight that 1 is liberal, but, um, you know, he got red, blue, blue, right? So there's really no incentive that 5 has to pick him. At the same time, 5 is no more liberal or fascist than 3 or 4 in this game because he got forced to play a blue. So, I mean, sure, they played a blue together, but what does it matter? You can kind of make a small argument that because 1-5 both claimed properly that 5 is more liberal than 3 or 4. But really, that just means that they're, at worst, it's fascist. So it doesn't make him more liberal in that situation. So, but anyway, that's the reason behind the pick, though, is he doesn't want to pick a forced president. He wants to pick somebody else, and he just winds up hitting Hitler, which kind of sucks for us because he does get a blue. Now, you see here he claims red, red, red. This is a fake non-conf. This is like hiding your conflict. And good players will do this to sort of give extra info to themselves if they can. And you can see an example of it in this very game, and I'll get to it as soon as we as soon as we 6-2. But so there are situations where this is good. Again, this is another situation where lying as a liberal can be beneficial to your team under certain circumstances. However, you have to, of course, at some point reveal that it was indeed conflict, that 5-3 is conflict. All right, so 6-2 is conflict. He actually gets a blue. That's probably why he claims it. This is helpful to me, actually. It's helpful to me that he IMs 3 and that he conflicts me, because I then know he's fascist. But at the same time, Buncha is thinking, I've hidden my conflict. He's IM'd 3 fascist. Fascists don't usually IMV their own fascist as fascist, and so that kind of shades me a little bit. And so there's a situation where if the deck doesn't come up right, that 6 might get into government, and luckily for us, 3 is Hitler, so that actually will never happen because 3 is always the shot later down the road. But if, for instance, 3 is not fascist, or excuse me, not Hitler, but is still fascist, and 6, of course, being fascist as well, it would suck to allow 6 back in. But there's not much I can do about that from my position. You can only say so much. So then we play 1-4. 1-4 is kind of unfortunate. Again, we at this point in the game, we still don't know that 5-3 is conflict, and that would mean that 1-4-7 has, only one fascist. So we pick 1-4. There's nothing too crazy about it, and then it conflicts, of course, because of course it does, and then Claire becomes confirmed liberal. And the nice thing about this is how this all went down. Buncha immediately says that he wants 7 SE'd over himself. And you have to understand, from my perspective, right, I'm a liberal who's been conflicted on IMV, if Acro is also liberal with me, then that means that there can potentially be a fascist in 5-7 who's not in conflict. Once 1-4 conf, 2-6 alone, 5-7 is lib-lib. However, in this instance, because 5-3 is also conflict, and this is where he chooses to reveal it, 7 just becomes de facto the confirmed lib. There is no other confirmed lib at this point. And Buncha is pretty damn liberal as well doing this. So, Claire picks Buncha. I bring up in the game, like, what if it's like 1-4, 1/4, and then 5-6. But at the end of the day, this is still probably the best play for liberals. If Buncha's Hitler, he just wins. So anyway, they play a blue. And the game is pretty downhill from here. I agree with Claire that we shouldn't be... it would have been nice if we top decked a blue. We shouldn't be yawing Buncha. 6 yaws it, it doesn't matter. He can yacht. He quote knows it's lib-lib. And it is lib-lib, which is also nice for liberals. That's why you don't usually see fascists inving their own fascist as fascist. It's kind of a higher level kind of play. And it works in certain circumstances, but not in this one. So, at the end of the day, 3 is always going to get shot. So, you can say what you like. It's still a bad play. So, at this point, the game is downhill. There's not really much more to talk about. We were just going to play... we were going to play 5-7 in Veto Zone. And then... and which hopefully would have won us, but we wind up top decking the final blue. So we don't even need it. And I get a free win, basically. So, again, not much I did specifically to win the game. It was mostly won on Buncha's fake conflict, I guess. Fake non-conflict, I guess. So you can kind of take that into consideration. Expand your game a little bit. Try some different things and see what works. This kind of fake conflict isn't always going to be good for you. But at the end of the day, it's always worth a shot. I guess there's a minor thing I did. I should take some credit for it. It's because I say in the game, I'm like, I really shouldn't be telling 6 who to inv because 6 conflicts me. But I tell him, I was like, inv your fascist in 3 or 5. Okay, and he does. And he inves them fascist anyway. But in the circumstance where he inves them liberal, then I become liberal as well. So that could have also won us the game. But at the end of the day, I didn't need to be liberal. We only needed the 2 liberals. And so with that, I will see you guys later.